Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jolie Rose. We have just come out the end of Mercury retrograde, and we have lots of other retrogrades going on at the moment, as Uranus retrograde and Saturn retrograde. So it's been a big, thick soup of quite negative energy, and then also the Scorpio dark moon. And Scorpio very much requires you to be like cuttingly truthful with yourself. So when someone's cuttingly truthful with you, that's quite hard to take. But this is about you actually being really cutting through the bullshit with yourself and being honest about how you feel about things, what's working, what's not working. It's quite big. We've just had a big energy that we've gone through, and I can definitely feel that things have shifted. I don't know if you can, but in my world they have. It was the volume was turned up on the whole situation for me because my period was due and brewing the whole time, and I'd been away for the pilgrimage, so I hadn't been taking the usual supplements that I take. So I take ashwagandha, and I find that since doing IVF and totally messing up my body with hormones, with synthetic hormones, ashwagandha seems to balance me back out again, and I really notice when I don't take it. And so I just didn't take it for 2 months and came back, and just obviously very tired, like I'm physically tired still, and hadn't taken my supplements, had my period brewing, and then we're in 3 retrogrades, Pluto might even be retrograde as well, and it's Scorpio dark moon. So it's okay. Well, we're going to probably have to just go there a little bit, aren't we? And what going there looked like for me was, well, I talked last week about, well, not last week, the week before, about failure and the feeling of failure. So I went through that phase. And then, my health, I did some exercise that made my body really, really not be okay. Like if you do exercise and you haven't done it for a while, you get the lactic acid and the aching muscles. I had that, but I could tell it was worse than it should be. And it felt like it was because of the pilgrimage. My body was too tired for me to be doing that kind of workout, which was frustrating because I feel like I should have been, or should be, really fit. I mean, I feel like any fitness that I did have is probably, it's been 3 weeks now, so it's starting to ebb away. But yeah, it's frustrating because you're like, oh, I want to stay fit. And I do want to stay fit, but at the same time, my body is very much requiring rest. And my ankles something's wrong with my ankles. I think we have worked out that I've been overstretching my ankles for the last 2 years, riding a bike that's too high for me. And I think that I'm hoping I haven't done long-term damage to myself, but my ankles hurt the whole of the pilgrimage. And I've got a feeling it's because, I'm pretty sure it's because I've overstretched them for the last 2 years. And I don't know whether that's going to be long-lasting damage. Hopefully not, fingers crossed. So I need to find out about that, which is something I'm looking into at the moment. I'm not sure what one can do to put back overstretched ligaments. If anyone knows, let me know. And then, feeling like I was very much, I suppose, not trusting Dizzle, which is completely unfounded and not fair, but just feeling vulnerable and worried that, he wasn't still in love with me, and just doing all the kind of girly thing that one does at one's partner, but completely unwarranted and unfounded. But he was also absolutely supportive of me because he's awesome like that, and he supports my menstrual journey, which I very much appreciate from him. So we went through that all together and he supported me. He is wonderful. And I came out the other side, and as soon as I did, I felt such a relief. And so I feel like it was interesting this morning, I have a morning practice where I wake up and I get my mat out and I spray it with nice smelling sprays, and then I light a joss stick and I light a candle, and then I put on some like meditation, like chill out music, some sort of the sort of music you get massaged to, and then I do a 20-minute yoga workout, and then I do 10 minutes of meditation, and I pull a card for the day. And the card that I pulled this morning, the Goddess of Filth. And I kind of absolutely love this goddess. I pulled her quite a lot when I first moved here. And when I first moved here, I just split up with my ex-husband. He'd split up with me. And there was obviously a lot of feeling around that to do with shame and failure and, loss of all of the world that I'd just given up, my whole life I'd just given up. And so there was this feeling, of failure. I don't think anyone can go through a divorce and a breakup of a marriage without feeling like you've absolutely screwed up. And I kept pulling this goddess then. How do I say it? Tlazolteotl, the goddess of filth. My heart is a flower, the corolla opens. Ah, it is the mistress of midnight, and she has arrived. Our mother, the goddess Tlazolteotl. So she eats filth. So she eats garbage. She eats all that is worn out and deteriorated and dirty. And I love it, the eater of filth. And she'll eat up all of your shame, your embarrassment, all of the things that are most disgusting. And what I love, and this is something that's been a big learning from what has just happened in this last chunk of time. So I was doing quite a good job, really, overall, of trusting the process with this retrograde moment, because I knew I'd got back from the pilgrimage. I needed to assimilate everything that had happened. And there was quite a big thing that did happen on the pilgrimage. Out of all of the pilgrimages that I've done, it was hard. It was wonderful with pulling this card today, because something I've been reflecting on, listening to, thinking about. There's an amazing podcast called The Emerald, which I highly recommend. It's quite a long meditative podcast. They're quite long. I think they're longer than an hour, and they've incredible music and soundscape, and it really takes you on a journey. And he takes you into very deep places that are. It's a piece of poetry. It's a long form poem, and I highly recommend it. It's a really good podcast, The Emerald. It doesn't come out that often, which is good, because it's quite heavy. Like, you almost need time to digest it, so it's not like a regular sort of weekly thing like what I do. There's a lot of work's gone into it, and it's very deep, and there's a lot going on in it. And the one he just did that just came out was to do with responsibility and how we're being asked to carry so much stuff ourselves that we never used to. So, like, the community used to carry much of the stuff. It might just be that your job's the water bearer or the stick collector, and that's literally all you were expected to do. And not only was that just the only physical thing you're expected to do in your community, like, that was your role and one to be proud of and was appreciated and celebrated within the group. Like, thank you for being the stick collector. That's you're really good at it. But also the existential angst and the bigger things you didn't have to deal with, because the gods dealt with that. And then we took away our faith and belief in things, and in religion, in spirituality, in gods and goddesses, and the pantheon of gods, and or the singular god. And now we're expected to deal with all of that ourselves as well. So through individualism, we've taken on the weight of the community and the weight of the gods, and how massive that is. And it was really interesting to hear, because I was a Christian. I was a born again Christian when I was younger. And I, for a very long time, was just an atheist. Best part of 20 years, I was a full-blown atheist, and that's all I was. And then it was only really in 2020 that I realised that I thoroughly missed having something bigger than me, and what that gave me. Because what it did give me was something else was responsible for the world, and for how the bigger stuff, like for how things were unfolding, for the movement of the heavens, and the events that happen, and the meaning of it all, and the connection between it all, and all of these things that I'd taken all of that away, and it was now like landing on the shoulders of myself and humanity, and this kind of scientific way of thinking. It was like, oh, it's all got to be very literal and logical and rational, but loads of things didn't fit with that. Like, so many things aren't rational and are completely illogical and are chaos and nonsense, and I can't control them. And it's a crazy journey, isn't it? So many things that I've been out of control of, with people that I love passing away, and not having children from the IVF, and things like not working out the way I wanted them to, and just being like, but I did all the science, I did all the things, and I did even pray to the gods and the goddesses. I prayed as well, but all of it was just like, you can't force things to happen, and you have to just accept that. And that's part of the fool's journey, which I feel like I went on through all of that. But something I got from this podcast was the gods and the goddesses have their roles and responsibilities, and that you can kind of lean on them for that, which I have been doing that, but I think it nudged me towards giving more of belief to it than I have done since not being Christian. You know, when I was Christian, I fully believed in it, and I know there's an element of having to be careful with these things, because, you know, a lot of things have gone wrong from religion, and a lot of things have gone wrong from superstition and things like that. And so I am always half, I'm a Capricorn, I'm half goat, I'm half fish. So I'm half practical, who's on the mountain, give me a scientific, rational reality where I know exactly where I'm at, and my hooves are clacking on stones and rock. And then the other half of me is the fish in the sea of infinity, going, I don't know, this is all made up, it's all imagination or whatever, it's all spirit. And yeah, part of me felt really relieved at the concept of the gods and goddesses are there to hold the things that are so big, that how could a human possibly hold that? And just also, just the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves. It's so nice to be told you don't have to do everything. Like, it's not your job to do everything. And that really felt useful during the whole retrograde and Scorpio dark moon time, because I knew I was in the bath crying my eyes out to my mum on the phone. I was like, I know it's PMT. I know this is PMT. I know it's my period. I know as soon as I have my period, I'll be fine. But I also do find that thinning of my capacity to, like, the thinning of my skin. At any other point in my cycle, I'm very thick-skinned. Like right now, all of the things that were bothering me last week do not bother me in the slightest at all. Completely don't, none of the things are worrying me. I trust all the situations. I know it's all fine. But last week, it really, really wasn't. And even this morning when I pulled this card, it was brilliant, because I felt I'd had one of those mornings where I woke up and just started listing all the things that I'd done wrong. And that had happened because I'd had a bit of a hedonistic weekend. So I'd had 3 days of drinking and hanging out with Dizzle and spending time with my friends, which I needed to do, because part of what had been playing up in the week before that was feeling like not quite connected to Diz since I got back. Like, it being away for 2 months, we always have to renegotiate our relationship again. Like, how do we click back together again? And I'd got upset about stuff that actually is not a problem whatsoever, but I just got upset about things and felt like we weren't quite there and gelling, and and then it made me paranoid and made me get more and more upset about stuff that wasn't actually true or real. And so this weekend, having my period had started, the hormones had changed, the script had changed, and I just needed to spend those 3 days with him, just having fun and just being great together. And I needed to do that so that we would connect. I don't know if I said this last podcast. I feel like I did, but my natural default setting is far. So I'm a very far person, and pilgrimage, especially when it's for such a huge intention as peace, it allows me to spread out as far as I can possibly go, because when I do that, I'm doing world peace. I'm doing peace in myself and peace within the walk and the kind of messiness of the pilgrimage and the day-to-day stuff of the pilgrimage, but then the people that we meet, and then the energy running up and down the whole line of the whole pilgrimage route. And then I was there with Greta Thunberg and the flotilla emotionally. I was following that. I was with the Palestinian prisoners and the torture, and then I was with the Ukraine, and I was with war everywhere, and all the other wars and things I was hearing about that weren't on the news enough because they weren't at the centre of attention, so we didn't know about it. And the refugees and the immigrants and people coming to England and being turned away, and people on boats, and I could feel all of it. And that's where my energy was, with all of it, with everything at the same time, which is hugely far. It's it's spread out around the world. I can do far across the universe as well. I'm happy to spread myself that far too. And when I come back, and you don't spend time, even as someone who's a far person like that, I don't spend time doing that level of far often. So when I get there, like before I left for the pilgrimage, I was really scared about what was going on in Far, because I hadn't gone there and I hadn't spent time there for a while. It was full of demons and shadows and darkness and fear. And then when I went there and spent time there and really spread myself out, and I felt myself all around the world going into these spaces, I was nicely surprised and heartwarmed and inspired by how much love and kindness and support there was out there. And so I brought that all back in with me, or like that meant that I spent that time in Far, and I've come back from it going, oh, you know what, it's all right actually. It's not okay. There's loads of stuff that's not okay. We all are aware of that, but there is also the other side of what's going on, which doesn't get reported on and we aren't hearing about every day, which is the incredible acts of kindness and generosity and inclusion and warmth that comes from most of humanity. And so yes, this fucking awful shit is happening, absolutely, but it's not the whole story. And we just have to keep trusting, and we have to keep doing our thing of being part of the positive and be one of those people, and we need to just keep doing it. And there's much work to do, and there are many things we can do, and to keep doing them and put them all in the mix, but trust that it's not as bad as it seems overall. So that means I felt like I sort of dealt with Far, but then because I'd done that, I came back and my middle and close were a mess. And my close was Diz, and also my mum. I had a huge meltdown with my mum, like I said, in the bath about Christmas and Christmas arrangements. Again, really wasn't the end of the world, but it was at the moment of the conversation. Hormone led to the whole way. But also middle, which is my work in the government, my job in the pub, my work as an artist, and money. All of these things were just like an absolute mess. And I can only do so many of those things at the same time. Like I try and do a little bit of all of them, but especially if you feel like if you feel like there's something wrong with the close, that's going to be your priority, isn't it? So that was my priority during that whole retrograde Scorpio hormonal soup. That was my like, oh, this is everything. And it was, and it should be. And that is all in a much better place now, as soon as the hormones are cleared. But at least it all got talked about. You know, I don't think that the hormones are making you talk nonsense. I think they're making you be more honest, more brutally honest, and have thinner skin, and so be less able to just pretend that everything's fine. And you really have to go there, and you can't like suck it up or not say the thing that's a bit uncomfortable to be saying, which I actually appreciate. I appreciate it. It's not fun, but it's useful and honest in a way that, as a Capricorn, I'm not very good at being emotional, and I'm not very good at having awkward conversations. I'd really rather not, but it makes me do it. It makes me go there, and I actually really appreciate it. And now that that's in a better place and everything's kind of calmed down, I feel like I can get on with the middle. And so pulling that card today was good, because I woke up this morning and just was beating myself up for all the middle stuff that I hadn't done. And then I got a load of it done. And what was good was I pulled the card and it made me go, oh, it's okay, because this goddess is holding it for me. And I'm going to let that actually, in a much more faith-driven way than before listening to the Emerald podcast, go, do you know, I'm going to let her. She's going to eat my filth. And you can eat this filth, because that was filth. I was just beating myself up. I was just feeling shame and I felt sick. You know, when you get that feeling where you feel sick in yourself for like being such an idiot, for being so useless and being like, oh my God, you fucking really fucked up. And then to have that card just be like, no, I'm going to eat all your shame, all your embarrassment, all your, I'm not good enough. I'm going to eat it. And I was like, yeah, there's a goddess who's going to do that for me. So you knock yourself out. That's your bag. You can do that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, giving you my worship in response to that. Thank you. And then to let it go. And then I did my morning practice, and because I also was very close to not doing my morning practice because I felt like I didn't have time because of the amount of things that I felt like I needed to do. But I still did my morning practice, having picked that card. And I did my yoga and I did my meditation. And then I went and got it all done. And I finished the day today and had my government meeting tonight. And it's all okay. Everything's fine. Literally everything's fine. And I've got other things, I've still got bits and bobs to do. I still have things to do, but I don't feel behind or overwhelmed anymore. And that feels really nice, because I nearly just completely descended into the meltdown. So yeah, and now it's Sagittarius energy, which it feels like to me, this moment now, building into this forthcoming full moon of Sagittarius and then Capricorn. I'm ruled by Sagittarius. My personality is Sagittarius, but I'm Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Mars. So like I've got a lot of Capricorn in me, but I'm kind of actually a Sagittarian in a way, because that's my rising sign. So that's the sign of my sky, whereas the Capricorn's my planets of Sun, Moon and Mars, amongst all the other planets, which are other things. And I've got a real love for people born, it's weird, I have so many people, I've got 6 now, 6 beloved family and friends, all born between the 22nd and the 25th, or that might have been the 19th, well anyway, basically 20 to 25 of November, just like on the cusp, on the Scorpio Sagittarius cusp. I have this huge density of people that I really care about. And so I've spent a lot of time observing what that cusp is. And I do really love it. I love it. There's like, because you've got all the juiciness of the truth of Scorpio, and then all the bravery and the let's just get out there and go for itness of Sagittarius. And I really love it. And that's the energy that I'm feeling right now. It's like we've done the work, we've eaten the filth, we're cleansed. So it's this absolute purification, which in numerology, 2025 was the year of purification. And we've sort of reached the point within the year of that energy of we've purified, we've done our things, we've done the journey of the year, and we've got to Scorpio, and Scorpio's just like burnt and washed the stuff, the dirt, and now we're purified, and now in the energy of fiery Sagittarius, in that fire, going to shoot our fiery arrows out into the next year to see what we're going to create. And next year is a 10-year, which is real Leo vibes, what it gives me, of like being out there and being seen and being visible and being gold and like turning into gold. So next year is the year of the alchemy. So in terms of the alchemical process, we've gone through different aspects of the process. So like 8 was very much stoking the fire of the passion and it's Venus energy. So it was this real like burning of like getting the fire going. And then 9 was purification. It's very subtle energy in the subtle body. And then 10 is the gold, turning it into gold. So big energy next year. It's really it's the year to make things happen, and it's the year to be seen and to be out there. And then the reverse of that can be is people being quite shy and hiding, which I see a lot in Leos. That's why it does really remind me of Leo. People I know who are Leo who are not living in their higher power of Leoness take up a lot of space, but through negative attention. So they're like, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me. But they literally are saying, don't look at me really loudly, non-stop in the middle of a pub, like covered in really strong smelling aftershave. And, you know, it's just like, well, we're all looking at you because you're saying, don't look at me. They do that. Whereas when they're in the positive aspect of Leo, they're just singing like Frank Sinatra and just being fabulous. And I feel like that's the energy of next year. It's like you can hide, or you can just get up there and sing I Did It My Way full blast, waving a top hat in your hand. So I want to go for that. But it's interesting because I'm coming off the back of quite a not feeling like that pilgrimage. It was an interesting pilgrimage because it felt there was an element of darkness in it that I've not experienced before. And I think it's because of it is, you set the intention for peace, you're going to have to deal with the darkness that comes with that. It's not, peace it's the same, like I just said with Leo. Everything has a light and dark aspect. So the light aspect is peace, which I got in abundance for sitting for 3 hours in silence, waiting for 2 hours, waiting for the moon ceremony to begin, just sitting in the dark and the cold on my own on a monument, looking down over devices glittering in the distance up, and I was right up on the ridgeway, and it was just silent and it was so peaceful. And then the flip side of being on a pilgrimage where quite a lot happened that was very unpeaceful in terms of our dynamics. And then the world, you know, like I thought that when Greta Thunberg's flotilla was getting towards Israel, that it was going toward Gaza, where they were heading to. But I thought that was going to trigger World War III, and just sort of holding that space and seeing what happens. And then it didn't. And then it's meant to be a ceasefire. I know that it's a very loosely, not really a ceasefire, but at least some aids got in. It felt like some positive energy air got in there into the world in general, which is good. But yeah, the flip side, it's like love and hate. It's like peace and war. You don't get one without the other. And that's what really all of this is about, is that there's a duality to everything, and you can't have one without the other. You need both. You need the shades. There's no such thing as conflict's not bad. Conflict makes things happen. That we need drama for things to happen, because otherwise nothing's happening. And so for the story to progress, for anything to happen, that conflict and drama is required. It's about kind of just going with it to an extent, but it doesn't mean that you put up with where the narrative goes. Your character and your avatar are fighting for the side you're fighting for, and you're fighting for the things that you care about and hold dear, whether that be love or peace or kindness and all those things, that you're pushing your energy of that forwards. And I suppose that's a key thing next year, is to really push the things you care about next year, and don't hide thinking you're not good enough. Like, push for the things that you actually, what's the real gold? Don't go for the lower version of the gold. Go for the highest version of gold, for the thing you care about most. And that's what we want to start planting the seeds for now with this Sagittarius energy. It's like, what are you going to create next year? Start shooting those arrows out into the stars, shoot for the stars. And then Capricorn is like nuts and bolts, practical, how are we going to do this? So you've shot, it's almost like you've shot the arrow up and the rope's fallen down attached, and you've shot up into the stars, and then you've got the rope there, and it's like, okay, so I'm going to climb this rope. What do I need to take with me? How long is it going to take me? The practical things is the Capricorn. Okay, we're going to get up this rope now. Sagittarius is shooting the rope up there. And what is that? What is it that you're creating? The lower version would be, I want to be rich and famous and blah, blah, blah. The higher version is, for me, I really want to go do stuff in Calais. I want to help. I want to meet the other that's being othered and be able to say to people who are doing the othering, I know I know these people, I've been there, I've seen with my own eyes, and what you're saying is wrong, and you're getting the information you're getting from billionaires who are trying to trick you and are trying to control you, and they're doing a good job. And I'm a normal everyday person who has physically been there and has physically met the people you're talking about. And this is my story about what that encounter was like. That for me is like a big bit of gold for next year. Is something I really want to do, and it's off the back of the pilgrimage. And to give up my story around money generally, that feels like a huge piece of golden work. And I'm interviewing someone next week. His name's John. I cannot wait to talk about money with. It's very exciting. We met on the pilgrimage. Who runs a church, the Church of Burn, where he burns money. And the philosophy and everything that he is sharing on his website, and just with the ceremonies, things that he does, I'm really intrigued. And again, it's a bit like with Tlazolteotl, the goddess, something about the Filth eater just made me feel so calm, like the emerald saying the gods and goddesses have got it, you don't have to worry about it. It gave me this sense of calm. And hearing and seeing that John is burning money in a church of Burn, just burning the godlike attachment to money, just feels so like my whole body goes, it does something really interesting to my nervous system that I can't wait to explore further with him. So I'm super excited about interviewing him. But what I'm going to do now is see what the universe wants me to talk about. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolie Rose. There are lots of things coming up that I'm excited about. There is an immersion weekend coming up at some point. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be in bulk. Ideally, it'll be in bulk, but I think the accommodation, the place, the venue where we normally stay might not be possible for in bulk. Also, the weather is, I've got a feeling this is going to be quite a harsh winter, and the weather can sometimes just completely ruin a weekend where you can't get over at all. So possibly Astara's may be a safer bet, because that's Easter time rather than February, and it probably will be easier to get here. And so that will be confirmed. I will know by next week, and then I'll be putting the Instagram posts, and I'll be putting up on social media to share that that's happening. So watch this space, but that they're in development. And then I'm also offering by donation readings between now and the new year, in fact even into the new year, for either for you to buy for yourself or as a gift voucher. So I'll send you a voucher for a Christmas present, and the donation is whatever you want to pay. The reading will be a reading whatever the amount is you give me. I have tarot cards and runes and oracle cards, and I can do the readings at different sizes. So if you don't have huge amounts of money and you can only donate a certain amount, I'll do a shorter reading. The more money you donate, the bigger the reading will be. So that you can just sign up. If you go onto my social media, you can find out how to go about that. I mean, basically just message me. If you message me and let me know what you want to do, whether it's for you or someone else, and what you want to donate, and then we can work out. It'll be a 1-to-1, but it'll be recorded as well. So if it's a 1-to-1 over video call, we'll record the video call. If it's in person, then I'll record it on audio and send you the transcript and the actual voice recording of the reading. And creation hibernation, that's coming up. Can't wait. So I probably would have already advertised for creation hibernation before this comes out. So yeah, in the next few days I'm going to be putting that together and sending it out. I can't wait. I just want to get back into the process again, and we'll be doing the same as we did last year. So we'll be alternating each week. So 1 week, and it will be writing focused again. I have done them before where it's a bit more like anything creative, which is wonderful, and I do really enjoy doing it. But I've got so much writing I need to get done that it is writing focus for me at the moment. So the first week will be us meeting up and doing writing exercises, and then the second week will be us meeting up and just writing, but we're together, and so it makes us stay together and do it. And so we just keep doing that. We keep alternating. So we're either doing exercises or we're meeting up just to support each other. If you're interested in any of those offerings, then definitely get in touch. I do all of the work that I do in ways that are as accessible as possible. So most of the stuff I do is for free, and you supporting me on Patreon just means I'm able to do this. And if you're someone who's got the funds to be able to do it, I mean, I'm really on tight funds, and I support 2 artists through Patreon, and then other people as much as I can. I just support them through word of mouth. So that's another thing you can do. If you're not able to support me on Patreon, then please share and tell people about what I'm doing. Word of mouth is key. So it's extremely useful for you to do that. And if you were to just post, oh, I love this podcast, give it a listen, that's also really useful. So whatever you're able to do, that's gratefully received. And I just hope you're enjoying it. And it's always lovely to receive messages saying that you're enjoying it. So that's also lovely. Thank you ever so much for your support. Now on with the show. Joy. Yeah, that really is where I'm at now that I'm not on my period PMT anymore. So that is where, yeah, it just feels like it's interesting. Diz actually said to me yesterday, being a woman is just mad, isn't it? And I love it. He said to me once, it's not your period, it's our period. And what more can you possibly want from a partner? Most beautiful thing I think anyone's ever said to me, to be fair. I love that he supports me and holds space for me to go through the different phases I go through. But I just laughed when he said it. I was like, every step of the way you keep finding out about another layer of fucking bullshit you've got to deal with from being a woman. I do really believe it's playing the game of life on a harder setting. I've got a man in my... I am trans in that I have a man in my body. That means that I know I've been alive before, and I believe in past lives because I know that I have been a man and am a man. Not overall, I think overall we're a mix, but I think I've spent the last couple of lives, or at least the last life, as a man. And so I was surprised when I got here and found out I was a woman. And when I do the pilgrimages, I very much feel man, like my man just comes out. So I feel really unsexy on the pilgrimages. And I'm not saying I'm not sexy as a man, but I don't feel sexy in a female way at all, which I know is because we're gross and dirty. But I feel very much a man, which is quite nice to have that time where I'm in that space. But yeah, if I'd grown up now, if I was a child now, I probably would have transitioned. I know I would have done. I would have definitely been part of that scene. And that would have been its own journey. I don't think there's anything right or wrong about that. But what I have got from not doing it is I've learnt to be female. And I really love it, sort of. I'm intrigued. Because it's definitely I feel like, okay, I'm playing the game on the harder setting. I mean, obviously, I miss the easier setting because it was easier. But obviously, you always want to get better at games, don't you? You don't want to just play it on the easy setting the whole time. You want to get better at playing it on the hard setting. And you're like, oh, this is a challenge. Oh, this is interesting. This is kind of fun. And that's how I feel about being female. So as much as it's just a bloody nightmare, right? It's a bloody nightmare. However, wow, what a privilege and a journey and an experience, and aren't we incredible? And again, like the light and the dark, I appreciate how relaxed and light and joyful I feel now, having just gone through the week that I went through last week, where it was literally the end of the world. It was so the end of the world. So it's quite funny to be now this way round and nothing to have changed other than my hormones, and how that teaches you so much about just how our perception of the world is mostly what's happening. You think that it's happening at you. You might do. You could think it's happening at you. But in reality, from a different perspective, the situation's completely different. So it's so much to do with how you're looking at it. And that's what I find so intriguing about the female experience, is that the hormones can completely change your everything. And yeah, I'm now currently in joy and just like, oh, everything's great. And nothing changed at all other than my hormones. So I find that amazing. And yeah, this lovely Sagittarius energy that we're moving into, and to be also going for the next 10-year energy of 2026 and the numerology of that. So I'm feeling positive and optimistic and up for next year and what's coming, and to start creating fabulous things and gold. Well up for it. So yeah, let's embrace it and just I'm feeling good after quite a dark space, and how therefore I feel so much more joy and light because of how dark I just went. I mean, I cried to my mum down the phone. I don't think she's ever seen me cry like that. I don't even know if I've ever cried like that. I think it was the most cryy I've ever cried. It was a big cry. And it wasn't just whatever was going on for my mum. It was about us making plans for Christmas. And I thought we were doing something, like I thought I was going to be staying with her from, the dead period after Boxing Day, between Boxing Day and New Year. And she thought I was going to Brighton. And I just totally took that as like, she doesn't care about me. She doesn't want me there. What am I meant to do? Why does no one ever think about me? Boo hoo 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 hoo. And I cried and cried and cried, and I felt really bad for how bad I made her feel, because she felt awful, and I felt awful for feeling so awful about it. And it wasn't really just about that. Really, it was the tears of the pilgrimage which needed to come out, which were about, world peace and world war and torture and all the ghastly shit that's going on. And so that was what I was really crying about. But it was through the prism of day-to-day nonsense and hormones. But as a Capricorn, I do find it really hard to get emotional. So in a way, I kind of need that hormonal release to give me the space for it to happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't. This version of me now, where I'm in my joy phase, where I'm thicker skinned and happier in myself, I don't think you could make me cry in this situation. I mean, I don't want that as a challenge. I'm sure if I found out someone I loved died or something, of course I would. But it's pretty much unheard of for me to cry during this week. It's only in just before my period week that I will ever shed a tear. So I appreciate having it to push me to places that I wouldn't go to otherwise. And then I very much appreciate having the time afterwards where I'm in my joy phase, where I'm embracing the light, and I get to enjoy it so much more having been in the dark. So that's what that means to me today. So what is my chaos crusade for this week? I would like you to do something really brave. So the saying, do one thing every day that scares you, is one of my favourite sayings, and it feels like very strong Sagittarius energy. So I want you to do something that is completely out your comfort zone and just see what happens. Going for a cold swim, or going and knocking on your neighbour's door and offering to do something with them over Christmas, or doing something nice for someone that you find problematic, like doing something Christmas spirited. Think about lovely things you could do for charity, or something that's outside of your usual comfort zone. Push yourself and challenge yourself, and then see what happens and whether especially this year. And also, I mean, this is what the whole point of this podcast is to get used to the unknown. But we are about to go into this exciting moment of alchemy where we're going to turn the shit into gold. The filth eater is going to throw up the filth and we're going to turn it into gold. So we're turning the shit into the gold this year coming 2026. And so it's time to throw yourself into the unknown and out of comfort zone and all of that. It's time to do it. So that's what's coming. And I'm noticing that I'm finding it quite hard to talk for this podcast. Like I didn't know what I was going to talk about. Like normally I have a rough idea of what I'm going to talk about, and I didn't know this time. And I think it's because I do feel like I've kind of just plopped out the end of a really intense process, and I'm gathering myself, and the positivity is coming back in, and that joy is coming back in. But I'm a bit like, oh, okay. And so I am thinking as I speak. I'm speaking as I think. I'm creating as I speak. So I'm creating the world that I'm now stepping into, having just been reborn out of this process. Like I'm this sort of stumbling, wet, covered in afterbirth foal that's just stumbling around going, oh, I don't know. But it's good because it's trusting the process. Like this is all unknown. I don't know what I'm saying. I didn't know what rune I was going to pull. I didn't know what Chaos Crusade I was going to say. But what I feel like is it's time to just fucking go for it and be brave. And it's less, in the last year and just generally, I've been much more like, we need to be brave about facing the world and facing the challenges and stuff. And that for me is the far stuff. And I just went and did that. I went and faced that. And I'm less worried about it now. It doesn't mean it's not a problem and it's not going on, but I'm less worried about it now. The thought of talking to John this week, I'm going to be talking to him in a few days, but for the podcast next week, and to be looking at burning money and to be looking at changing that whole conversation when that's my deepest wound, like that feels really scary and really exciting. So that's the thing I'm going to be doing for my Chaos Crusade, is talking to John about money and then doing something to do with it, maybe burning some money, whatever it is that I'm going to do. Like just the thought of doing that does fill me with terror. Very interesting. But I don't want to make that the Chaos Crusade because possibly that'll be what he comes up with next week. But yeah, I want to do something that is pushing me out my comfort zone, but that is for more like deeper and spiritual than the simulation nonsense drama that the billionaires are trying to distract you with. It is true and it is happening, but it's also a distraction and it's a lie, and we need to be more than this. We need to be really strong in ourselves so that we can be the woke motherfuckers that we're being accused of being, but really kick-ass woke. Like, we're going to be woke, be really woke and really confidently, proudly woke, just on a completely different vibration, without fear and with joy, and just like clearly a better option. Like that's what I would like to see happening, is it just be like, well, I'd rather be one of them. It's like, yeah, I know I would. I've just spent a whole fucking 2 months walking through all the different worlds of that strip of land. You know, I mean, there wasn't any of the northern cities or anything in this journey. There are when I walk the other journey. But walking through this journey, walking through Luton, which is a rundown, really multicultural city, and then walking through like fancy villages, posh villages full of thatched cottages, and then like slightly more rundown towns and cottages and villages and things that are covered in George crosses, and then the trailer park in Hopton on Sea at the end of it, which is covered in George crosses, and just meeting and walking through all these different people. And I want to be with the multicultural brigade because they were bloody great. That was the most friendly and open community that I walked through. But also just like the woke hippies, they were having a much better time than the angry red-faced thugs. Yeah, pick your adventure. And if you're going to pick your adventure, really go for it with your avatar and just give them so much oomph And I suppose that's what I mean by doing things that scare you, and challenge yourself and get out there, because that's what we're going to be doing next year. It's really getting out there and playing our part absolutely full blown. So let's do that. Well, I really don't know what's going on with my words today. I can't really talk, but it's because I'm where I'm at in the process, and that's fine, and I don't mind. And I'm still enjoying being here talking to you. So thank you, and I will speak to you again next week. See you the end on.